If you're feeling like there's something, you're reaching a block or that upper ceiling that they like to call it, like dive right into it. And sometimes it's just being still and being like, okay, like what do I need to see here?
Today's episode is brought to you by Strive, the app where friendly competition fuels real change. Whether you're crushing miles or chasing PRs, Strive keeps you motivated with challenges that actually mean something. Right now, you can join Strive Premium for free with my code RUNWINEMOM. Head to strivecompetitions.com or download the app and start leveling up your goals today. Welcome back to the Running Wine Mom podcast. I'm your host, Samantha Cieslinski, aka the Running Wine Mom. My guest today is Anna Lozano, an entrepreneur, business strategist, and advocate for blending high performance strategy with energetic alignment. After leaving her corporate career in 2010, Anna jumped into entrepreneurship and never looked back. She co-founded Love Powered Co., a mindfulness and affirmation-based brand, scaling it to a successful exit while navigating motherhood. Now she helps women turn their business ideas into reality by balancing intuition with action, reframing limiting beliefs, and using energetics to create business that feels as good as they are profitable. In this episode, we talk about what it means to trust your intuition in business, how to shift your energy to attract opportunities, and the importance of balancing masculine and feminine energy as an entrepreneur. We also explore the idea of leveraging high frequency moments into inspired action and what it really means to build a successful business barefoot from paradise. So without further ado, let's welcome Anna. Welcome.
Thank you so much. So excited to be here.
Yes, I am very excited to learn all about the way that you make energy and business align. But before we do that, we start each episode with our wine, and win of the week segment. This is where we vent about something that's been bothering us and celebrate our recent victories. So grab a glass, take a deep breath, and let's get started. So what is your drinking wine of the week?
Well, it's pretty warm here, so I will always choose a nice crisp Pinot Grigio.
Yum. And I was just saying, it's cold here. I'm ready to get out of here and to get into some sun. So I'm on the red train still, but I think this weekend I might be having some white down in the Florida sun. And so what is your WHINE of the week?
Well, what am I complaining? My little one's going through a little bit of a transition. She's 6.5, going on 7. Her sister just turned 9, and we're having some big emotions. And I'm really just allowing her the space to just feel into everything. But there's moments where I'm just clenching myself and, just before I would react. And now I'm going through just allowing the space for the emotion to leave her body because I don't want that stuck in there anyway.
Yeah. And I'm sure it's really hard, especially someone who works with energy a lot, to see your children going through it and not want to intervene in ways of parenting, but also knowing how to kind of work through it a little bit differently. Yeah. And so I'm sure it's a lot.
The opposite of the way that I was taught to do it.
Yeah.
Which rather resulted in holding it in and not expressing it, which is the unfucking that we're doing now as adults, right?
Yes, I am in that club for sure. So what is your win of the week?
Win. Ooh, well, this is the 3rd podcast episode I'm recording this week. I have one right after. So 4 episodes recording this week.
That's awesome. Amazing.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, so excited. And I always like to ask my guests, what is one significant challenge you've successfully navigated shaping your journey to where you are today?
Gosh, so much. I've been on this journey for 15 years. I would say really diving into mindset early on in my career. So that was about 2010, so 15 years ago, and really working consciously on that. And so leading into motherhood, that was also something that we decided consciously that we want to parent. And that doesn't mean you don't have bad days or you mess up and you regret, but it's really choosing each moment to show up in this conscious way. And so I would say really diving deep into personal development and making this just a part of who we are, what we do, how we live. I would say that's what's coming up right now.
Love that. And I always say to people who are not parents yet, like really try and work on yourself and figure out how to like work through your own emotions before you have kids so that when you have kids, and there is a lot of working together through your emotions with kids, but if you can kind of get one step ahead, it's so important to do in the mindfulness world.
Absolutely. And then they'll just be your little mirrors for the rest of your life.
Yes,
Like,
so true.
what do you need to look at? Because this is not like an end journey. This is just an is journey.
Yes, it is it's like that was one thing I was not prepared for in parenting was how much more growth I'd have to do because I'm like, why is this triggering me so badly? It's not even that big of a deal.
It's insane. Like, how does this not come with a manual? Like, everything else does. But, you just everyone has their own image of what motherhood will look like. I remember talking to friends like, oh, we're going to travel the world and, be this global family. And then came child number one. And like, oh my God, the amount of stuff that they come with.
Oh my gosh. It is
insane.
This trip that we're about to take, like my kids are 4.5 or 4.5 and 2.5, almost 3. And, we have to pack so much less than, the baby times. And I'm like, wow, I can't believe we actually got to this point where like, we don't have to lug 8 million things onto the plane essentially, but still there's a lot of stuff.
You're still in it. Like that's still an in it phase. Like my girls are 6.5 and 9. And now I feel like, okay, I still travel with a white noise fan and blackout blinds if I'm honest, but like, okay, wait, like you're in it, mama. Like, holy shit, you're doing it in it.
Well, that's what I'm like, all right, do we bring a sound machine or do we just use our phones? I don't know, but oh my gosh, the stuff, it's like wild.
It's wild. It's unpreparable for, and yet the most rewarding journey.
Yes, agree. So the Running Wine Mom, we talk a little fitness. What's your favorite way to stay active?
So right now in perimenopause, I'm really devoted to weights. So I do weight training 3 times a week. And actually, I'm so sore. We did legs yesterday. I was walking up the stairs. I'm like, oh yeah, this is the effect. And then every other day, I try to either go for like an hour walk, pair that with some meditation. Today, I went on an hour bike ride. So it's like 3 weights, 2 cardio, mindfulness kind of practices.
That's wonderful. And I've been talking to so many women who are in perimenopause and just the importance of lifting weight, how growing up, I mean, it was ingrained into my head to run, cardio. And now I feel as though I'm getting older. It's such a switch to be like, no, you need to be lifting weights. And it makes so much more sense because when you're 90 and you need to grab something or pick something up, you need to have those muscles there and not
exactly. And that's what we're looking at versus, okay, yes, we want to look good. That's one thing, aesthetics, but it's more so, yes, the bone density and being able to be strong and not break easily. Like that's now what I'm thinking of, and have a good journey through perimenopause and menopause, because that's something that my mom really struggled with. And so I'm really looking at now it's what I feel blessed about is, I don't know your age, but for the perimenopause women is there's so much more information now. Like when my mom was going through menopause, it was just a struggle. And it's something that, wasn't really talked about. And now I feel truly blessed as there's so much information and so much support and guidance and community around these conversations. So
yeah, I'm still a little whiles away from it, but I feel like it's been the last couple months, especially, I've just heard so much and I'm like, all right, I'm just going to start lifting more just so that I get
and they say it starts like 35. So it's like, and depends what your symptoms. I don't feel symptomatic right now. I think sleep has been just a little bit different, but then once you have children, then sleep is just never, ever the same. Yesterday, my 6.5-year-old came into bed at 5 a.m. I was like, babe, I have such a hard time going back to sleep. That's my thing. And if anyone has solutions for that, I'm like, I'm all in. I do all the things and the magnesium and the putting the phone away. And then if someone wakes me up, it's like game over.
It's
Game over.
I could totally feel, I like the Calm app is I
Yeah,
try
go to.
to use it, but it doesn't always work, unfortunately. So you are big into mindfulness. What do you see the correlation of mindfulness and physical fitness?
So mindfulness really being in the present moment, being here in the now. And, I feel like we've, as humans, been programmed to always be like 10 steps ahead. And as moms to be 10 steps ahead. And as women, be 10. And so mindfulness really is about grounding into the present moment and being here now. And that's what I truly feel fitness and, various forms of fitness do for us. They really bring us into the present moment, whether it's lifting weights or doing yoga or running, like you're here in the now. And so that in itself is a mindfulness practice. So even for me, like right now, I'm pairing, for example, meditation with walking, right? So it's movement, it's moving the physical, moving stagnant energy, if we want to look at it that way. And then also having the mind more calm and focused, whether it's a guided meditation or just music or binaural beats. Like I like stacking habits.
Yeah. Yeah. I just got into the binaural beats recently and I find them to be really helpful for my energy.
For sure. I always have something playing in the background. If it's working, it's prosperity, abundance, wealth. If it's working out, then it's more health focused. But everything is frequency, everything is energy. And so it actually makes a lot of sense that we have that around us as well.
Yeah. So let's get a little bit into parenthood. Tell us about your family.
Yeah. So I have two girls. They are, like I said, one just turned 9, which is insane. They say it goes by so fast, enjoy every moment. But when you're in the thick of it, it's like, oh my gosh, this is something that's going to continue on forever.
Forever.
Are they going to continue tantruming forever? But yeah, it turned 9, which is absolutely wild. And then my little one is turning 7 in June. And we are a family that just, for me, I always like to have crazy ideas. So we're from Canada, but lived in Ontario. I know probably likely your audience is more American, but we lived when the pandemic hit. I'm like, we have to go west. We have to go to nature. We have to go to British Columbia. And so I sold everything we owned on Facebook Marketplace. We headed west. We explored British Columbia. So if you can think of like Oregon, it's so beautiful, the scenery. Explored for a year, ended up buying a house in one of the towns in British Columbia. And then one February in 2023, we came to Mexico for a month just to vacation. And I was like, whoa, what if we came here for the winters because it's sunny and warm and I want the kids to learn Spanish. So a year and a half ago was our first 6-month rodeo here.
Wow.
We're in the Caribbean. My kids are barefoot, running around in the jungle. And this is kind of my solution for keeping them as young as possible. I'm really into the Waldorf philosophy. So my kids have grown up in Waldorf schools. I'm not a homeschooling mom. That's something that I just know is not for me. Bless the moms that are homeschooling moms and doing that. It's super admirable. But I was like, Waldorf is a philosophy that I love for so many reasons. And so they go to a little Waldorf school here. They run around barefoot. And it's like, I really love the work of the conscious parenting, Dr. Shafali, and she talks about, keeping them off screens as long as possible, preserving that magic of childhood for as long as possible. So this is what we're doing here right now.
So cool. I wish I could do that. That would be, but my kids are outside so much and, limited screen times. They're like nature babies, which is great.
It's so important. And also, when the parents are online, like both my husband and I have businesses online. And so it is really having those mindful conversations of saying we're on screens because this is how we make money for the family. This is our job. This is entrepreneurship. And so they're curious about building their own little businesses. They have, a couple ideas they want to move ahead forward, which obviously would be all on moms. So I'm just timing those properly. But it's like they do what they see, right? And so that's always important to have for us, those conversations, because we are on our screens. And so really separating the two, like business and then family.
Right. That's awesome. What do you think you were least prepared for in parenting?
My gosh, everything. One of the shockers. So I was an entrepreneur for 6 years. So, for me, freedom has always been a core value. So really just knowing that I want to have freedom of time. I want to have the freedom to create my own dream life, my reality, my wealth, and so forth, my impact. And so when my first little one came, it was just, my time was no longer mine. I didn't even think about it. I just really had this vision of motherhood that it was just going to be really super duper easy, simple, because I'm doing the work, because I've been into personal development, because I've, done hypnotherapy and prepared myself for it, like hypnobirthing, like nah. And so really was looking at when the first one came, like, how am I going to do things differently? Because I had way less time, way less energy, not much support. And so it really was the first time that kind of had to tear everything down and say, like, how do we do this now in this stage of life? And especially for me, because it's the first year the baby's with mom.
Right.
And so that it was just a whole, and even before that, the whole birth experience was insane. Like, I labored naturally. I was really obsessed with having a natural labor. So first of all, she was 2 weeks late. And when like 2 weeks, I was talking to my midwife. I'm like, okay, it's time. Like, we got to get her out. This has now been a long time post her due date. So she made me drink. And I remember this like yesterday, and this is 9 years ago, but 100 milliliters of castor oil with mango juice, which created natural contractions and massive diarrhea. So
oh God,
I was
you're pushing and cramping.
Yes. I'm like, this is the beginning of this beautiful story that I have in my mind. So then we went to the Toronto Birthing Center, and I'm laboring naturally. There's no, like, I can't get an epidural. We're at a birthing center. Everything's natural. I'm on the bouncy ball. I'm in the bathtub, in the shower, and the happy gas made me very happy. That part I really enjoyed. And yet she still would not come out. And so the next day, we're speaking like a long time after, she came with a emergency C-section.
Okay.
So
wow.
That in itself was a whole experience. And I still feel to this day, like, I've actually never shared this story on a podcast. So thank you for the opportunity. But it's like, it's traumatic. Like, when do we actually have time to process what we went through? Because then it was straight into nursing and taking care of baby, something that you've never done before. And never the time to actually like grieve what you wanted, celebrate what is, heal your body. Emergency C-section plus a natural labor. I was right up, walking up the stairs. Like, I didn't take time to heal. And so like physically. So all these things, I'm like, it takes a village. When we say that, I can feel 9 years later, I have a village now. But when she was born, like, yes, I had a doula and a midwife, but like, they're gone after a few weeks.
Right.
And so not knowing and just doing and trying to figure it out. And then you have a business, and then you have a husband, and then you have like all these other things. And then you add on a second one, like, because you're 2 years apart.
We were 2 under 2.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. And it's the more women that I, talk to, and I was in a similar situation in the sense of I wanted to labor naturally, and I read all the books, and I was and then my daughter was breech, and I had a marginally inserted placenta. So it was kind of like a little dangerous to flip her around. But then I did actually have about like 3 weeks to prep for my C-section, which, and get in the mindset. And I really enjoyed my experience with my C-section just because I was able to prepare for it. Yeah. But when you're going through labor, and then all of a sudden they're like, yeah, you've worked all this hard. And then now we're going to just, go in a direction that you have not prepared for. You probably don't have any postpartum things ready for it. Like, what? And here's baby. Start nursing it. Like,
there you go. Figure that out too.
Yeah.
Good luck. I was like, you're right. My second one was a planned C-section. She started measuring big early on. I was like, I just can't go through that again. And it was so joyful. I got my hair blown out. Yeah. I walk in with like a Starbucks into the hospital. I'm like, I'm ready to have my baby. Yep.
I know. Like, it was, and the recovery is very difficult, but like still, like having a planned C-section was like a very different experience than someone having an emergency C-section. Which
exactly.
I'm like, so what's one?
And let's just talk about epidurals. I mean, what a blessing.
Yeah. Yeah.
After having it tried the other way, I'm like, whoa, bless those two.
Like, wait, these are a good idea. Now see it. Now see why these are a thing.
Highly recommended.
Yes. So what's one piece of advice that you would give other parents?
Oh, be just fully no expectations and unattached. I would say that is the greatest piece of wisdom I wish someone shared with me. It's just go in
Yeah.
there, open heart, no expectations. It's going to be a bumpy fucking ride. And you just like buckle up, buttercup. Like
Yeah.
you're going in.
Yes.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and then listen, like the babies that come out, right? They all come with their own soul, with their own purpose, they their own
So true.
personality, characteristic. I have those parents that I've met those moms, with the very chill babies, and you're like, wow, are you very chill? Because I'm
Yeah.
not very chill, and I did not have chill babies. And I
And you figure out one, and then the next one comes out, and they're totally different anyway.
completely
So
different. Yeah, exactly. So there's no preparation. Don't even read the books. Actually, don't waste your time reading any of the books.
it is like you can really read so many, and then you're like, this wasn't
This doesn't
in
apply for
any of
me.
the books. So let's talk about your journey and business path. You took a leap into entrepreneurship after kind of working in corporate. What was the exact moment that you knew you had to really make the switch?
Yeah, I did the whole traditional pathway, safe and secure job, and I got to corporate, and I just like literally the first week, I was like, this is not for me. I just didn't fit in. And I'm like, I studied this hard. This is the North American dream. I'm here. I've arrived.
Yeah.
And yet I was like, what is this? Especially because I was in a position in sales and marketing to sell and market products that I would never consume. And
Right.
so it was really out of integrity for me. I was like, how do I sell and tell people to eat this crap when I will not consume it myself?
Right.
And so that right there was that first like sign of out of alignment. I'm like, okay, well, what am I going to do? I've prepared my whole life for this moment. And now what? So I started going to networking events downtown Toronto. And after a few months, I came across network marketing, which is interesting because going to business school and thinking I'm going to become a C-level exec, I didn't know much about the industry. And yet I joined the network marketing industry at a time where there was a lot of stigma. It was the era of the pyramid scheme, and it was tough at the beginning. And so it really was this gateway into entrepreneurship, gateway into personal development, and really building this resilience of like, if I believe in it, then whatever the outside environment is saying, I will not choose to make that my own. It's not about me. It's their own story. So I jumped into a network marketing company, promoting and marketing a product that I really loved, that I consumed on the daily, that I felt authentic sharing and talking about. And within a year, I was generating enough income to actually leave my corporate career.
Wow.
So
wow.
Yeah, I built that company up to the very top of the company within 4.5 years. My then boyfriend, now husband, left his corporate job. He was working for Scotiabank downtown Toronto, like finance career. And we just started traveling the world, educating on this product, speaking on stages. And then came the little one. Then came the first little one. And so my husband tried to take over the business, but really it was something that I built. I am like the sales and marketing engine of our family. He's an engineer. He's brilliant at figuring things out. And so things started to really shift in that era of having a baby, really being deep into personal development and mindset, and then looking at, okay, well, what's next? And I met this girl in that company, and she had a beautiful story with affirmations. I had a really powerful story with using affirmations to really move along in my career. And we decided to create an affirmation company, building out tools, mindfulness products, affirmation cards, gratitude cards for kids. Because we said if they can build this as their foundation, then as adults, it's going to be a different story that they hold, a different belief system. And so we got to work. Within 9 months, we launched the company, and we grew that for 6 years.
Wow. And so building this with little children is really no small feat. What's something about that time in your life that people maybe like wouldn't see on social media, that behind the scenes, you're like, you have this great thing and the affirmations and the mindfulness, like what's happening behind the scenes?
Yeah, it was It was intense. When we launched, so we launched with Kickstarter in August 2017. And September 2017, I found out I was pregnant with my second. And like literally we launched, we had this successful Kickstarter campaign. People from around the world were pledging. And then come September, I found out I'm pregnant. I'm super nauseous. And then I take Diclectin because I'm like, I cannot handle this nausea, which makes me super tired. And so I'm like half pukey, half sleepy, trying to show up for this company we just launched. I'm like, I'm sorry to my business partner. Like, this is insane. She's going through a full gut house. Like they gutted their house and going through a full reno. And so here we are, like, we had to order bulk of this product. So we have like thousands and thousands of affirmation cards all over her basement that's going through a reno. I'm pukey, sleepy. And here we are, like, let's go, world. We have a big vision.
Yes, believe it. And
so we had to really practice what we preach, like that was a big, all these moments, all the hardships, all of it really supported in like, you have to practice what you preach. You have to be the embodiment of the thing that you're selling. And so that in itself was a personal development journey.
Yeah. And now something that you do is you guide women into turning their business ideas into cash flow in just 12 weeks. What do you think that the biggest mindset block you see holding women back from starting is?
From starting, it's just all the chatter of like, well, what if it doesn't succeed? Like, what if now's not a good timing? What if I can't do this? And so, I really work with women who they don't want to create a hobby. Like, this isn't like a part-time hustle. This isn't like, one of those. I work with women who really hold a vision. They know now is the time to bring it into reality. They just want someone to guide them step by step with launching. So with my private mentorship, that's what I do, is really idea to income. With their time together with me, they launch their website, they launch their branding, they launch their signature offer. If it's a product-based business that someone's looking to start, that takes more than 12 weeks. Generally, that would be a year-long program.
Right.
It takes longer to build a product.
Yeah.
And then we launch together. So even in the third month together, they start to sell their signature offer. So that allows us time to really refine and tweak and see if there's adjustments that we need to make together. But it is really potent, fast, and I'm able to leverage all my experience in getting that takeoff going.
And what do you think maybe the most common mistake people make when they're launching a business, and how do you help them avoid that?
I don't really feel like there are any mistakes. I feel like everything's an opportunity for growth, but I would say even pre the decision to launch, it's all those fears and doubts and worries that come up and that possibly hold people back from actually going for it. I feel like once people make that decision to go for it, they hire the coach, it's like go time. They're invested, they're in. And then, of course, then things come up, like they're too focused on the numbers. If the social media isn't growing, or if the sales aren't coming through as, they had projected. But it's having that person. So in this case, myself, remind them that like, enjoy the journey. I think this is the biggest thing we focus on right now, is like, we're so programmed to go towards an end goal, right? Like that 5 kilometer or that marathon or that 5 kilometer race or that like first year numbers goal. And really the refinement over the last few years has been like, enjoy the process, because really there is no end goal. And what I find even, in myself as someone who naturally held and built businesses in a very masculine energy, meaning like do, burnout, hustle from one goal to the next.
That's me for sure.
There's a shift now, because what I realize within myself when I'm realizing with women that I work with is like, once you reach that goal or that destination, there's usually no feeling. It's like, okay, now what? And you're usually 10 steps ahead to the next thing. And so then really, what's the point of it? Like you sacrifice a lot for that not to generate the feeling that you thought maybe it would generate. And so that's the deep dive inward of like enjoying the process and focusing on each step and really like loving what you do. And then that end goal is just something that happens, but you've enjoyed it. You've had a beautiful feeling along the way versus hoping that it arrives at the end.
Yeah. And I saw something recently. It was like a quote that really stuck with me about, if you're always setting the bar like so high for like success is the only bar. Like if you don't succeed, then it's a failure. And it's like, but you're not failing if you're trying and learning, and maybe you're not getting to X amount of sales, but you've done all these other things, and to really celebrate yourself for those. So I
Exactly.
can definitely really relate to that as you're saying all that. I'm like, yep, that's me. That's me. I'm always like, okay, I did this. Now what can I do better?
Yeah, and it's interesting because once you reframe this idea of really bypassing, like not fully experiencing the
Hmm.
process, once you do it differently, then literally everything becomes enjoyable. Right? Because
Yeah.
let's say even this podcast tour that I'm in, like before it would have been like, oh, I got to get 50 podcasts by the end of the year because I'm building up my brand awareness. But the reframe is like, wow, I get to have such incredible conversations with people that I had never met before,
Hmm.
ideally adding value. Like if someone can leave with one nugget of wisdom that they can apply into their life right now, then that makes me feel really good. There's no expectation, there's no attachment, there's no like, I have to get this out of that. I don't hold that energy with what I'm doing right
Right.
now. And then and therefore it's enjoyable.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. And so another really cool thing that you're doing with your business is you're working with energy and alignment, in addition to personal growth. I think in your email you had put that, you're a sacral generator, Cancer sun, Scorpio rising. Like I love that stuff so much. But how does knowing these aspects of yourself influence how you really show up in business?
And I got some hacks for you guys today. So, and this is
Love it.
using ChatGPT for hacks. So I'll share those in a second. But really, the more that we get to know ourselves, the more that we can work in alignment. And working in alignment means that you're just not resisting, you're not forcing, you're not making shit happen. It's actually just working out because you are in energetic alignment and therefore
Hmm.
it is happening for you. And so, even looking at 4-6 sacral generators. So the sacral means that I have a gut, like in terms of gut feeling. And so I make my decisions based on that. But it's not like a logical thing. What I realized getting to know human design is that I was doing that all along. Like that's how I
Hmm.
take decisions when something feels good and it gives me that like gut heck yes, that instinctive knowing, and I act on that. It's usually a banger. Like it's usually like, okay, that thing's going to be successful because it was taken in energetic alignment. And so learning about myself, again, sacral generator, I'm like, oh, well, that makes sense. That's actually how I
Right.
make decisions. So look at yourself and what is that driving force within you? Is it your emotions? Is it your sacral? I mean, we're all intuitive beings. When you get an intuitive hit, a download, like, do you act on it or do you just,
Yes.
wouldn't that be cool?
That's why I have this podcast. No joke. I was driving home one day and something in my mind said, you should start a podcast. And I was like, I don't even know how to start a podcast. I like listening to them. And 2 years later, here I am. Like,
Amazing.
I like remember that moment so vividly where I was like, okay, I don't know why my mind is telling me to start this, but okay.
That was it, right? Generators are the doers, right? We generate energy, we hold a lot of energy, and we bring visions into reality. And so it's like, okay, no wonder this is what I'm doing as a business coach. I really support women to bring that vision to life. Like that makes sense. So it was more of a
Mhm.
confirmation of what I already knew of myself. 4-6 sacral generator. Like the 6 is a networker. I have always networked. I paid for business school to build my network. I had a business idea in my early 20s called Ms. Connector to connect people and ideas together so that, we can all collaborate and thrive together. And so that's really what human design supports you in knowing is more of who you are at your core. Like, what is
Mhm.
your energetic blueprint? And the more that you can work and live from that, the more easy things will feel, the more alignment there will be, the more synchronicities, the more unexpected yeses, the more all that you desire will actually seem like it's flowing naturally to you.
Right. That's
And then
awesome.
astrology, I mean, I'm no astrology expert, but again, I'm going to share the hacks. But
Yes.
there's a lot of water in my family. So my oldest and my husband are Pisces. I'm a Cancer. And I'm double Cancer. So water. And then my little one, the one that's going through a transition right now, she's air. She's feisty. I thought no, Gemini makes sense for her. I need to look
Yeah,
more
that's
in there.
me.
Are you Gemini?
I'm a Gemini.
You,
Feisty, but
I call her like, you're my like sweet and sour. Like
yes,
it's
yep.
like, and on top of that, she's a manifestor in human design. So she knows what she wants. Like,
Hmm.
like from a very young age, like, the bribing tactic, I would like try to bribe her.
Yeah.
Ain't working with
No.
her. No, she needs to make the decision. And once she does, then it's game on.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's my hack. So ChatGPT, do you use it?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Love it.
So the other night I was just playing around with it. So the two websites that I use, so myhumandesign.com, I use that website for human design, and then astro.com. So you pull your charts and then I don't know, I love projects in ChatGPT. So I put astrology, human design, created my
Okay.
projects, and then I upload my human design chart and I say, act as a human design expert and go into detail on every specific piece of my chart and tell me as how it relates to me in 2025. So I wanted to really zone in on what is my chart saying as to my blueprint and who I am, and how does it relate to this year? If you're new to human design, just let it explain your chart to you. And then, it's fascinating what you unveil. And then same with the astrology chart. So pull your astrology chart and same thing, act as an astrologer and explain to me in detail my chart and how it pertains to 2025 in every single area of my life, and go deep. So
Wow.
it
I'm
was
going to do that
amazing.
tonight for sure.
There's
Because, that'll be my project for tonight after I'm done packing.
That's your project. And then my next step is to do it for the kids and for my hubby, like for both astrology and human design.
Wow. I mean, not that I really wouldn't have thought to do it for my kids, but like, yeah, why not? Right?
It makes sense. Like discovering that my little one's a manifester plus
Yeah.
Gemini and everything else in her chart. I was like, I get it. And I cannot I need to support her in that so that
Right.
continues to thrive within her.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you also talk about the importance of operating from a balanced frequency. What are some signs that someone is out of alignment, and really what's their first step to kind of recalibrating?
So out of alignment feels like hard. It feels like pressure. It feels like control. It feels like resistance. It feels like reactions, like anything that creates this like hard, like friction energy, friction, emotion within. That really feels like out of alignment. For me, also, like physically, I can feel like a pressure in my upper chest or pressure in my upper back. And like your body is speaking to you and showing you signs that you may be out of alignment. And so I always say, like, step number one with anything and everything is awareness, is saying, like, okay, so how do I feel right now? And just taking inventory. And there may be areas of your life that are thriving and maybe other ones that are feeling out of alignment. And the whole intention is to bring each area, each piece into coherence. And, I used to always say, like, oh, balance is bullshit. But at the same time, like, balance in terms of energetics feels a lot lighter. And so rather than like operating out of this elevated nervous system, like in fight or flight, cortisol high, stress levels high, that's out of alignment.
Yeah.
We get to do it another way. And so that's my biggest job right now, is like maintaining like this balanced energy. And I'm not saying like, oh, be super high vibe all the time, because that's impossible. We're human. But like my goal within me is like balance, like less reaction, less elevated stress, like less, because when you're this like reactive, like roar, I'm gonna roar lion, like lioness energy, like, yeah, you're raising shit up. And then everything suffers. And especially like now I'm realizing too, so I just turned 40 last year. I realized that my immune system, if there's elevated stress, is no longer able to do its thing.
Right.
And so I don't want to keep getting sick. And when I do, like, I never used to get sick. Like I used to be a bull. Like they used to call me the bull. Anna doesn't get sick. But now all of a sudden I started catching everything the kids catch. I'm like, okay, well, that means that maybe even subconsciously something's going on and I have elevated stress levels. And therefore my my immune system's no longer able to work at the capacity that it did. So this is like really conscious awareness of of what is happening, how you're feeling, and what do you need to do to come back into balance, because everyone's balance is different. And so, of course, there's different tools and there's different things and ways like breath work and meditation or doing your fitness and exercise to move that stagnant energy, dancing, chanting, like what is your thing, and finding that out. And I feel like also as women, as moms, we're constantly giving. It's always about the others, about the kids, about, everyone around us. But it's also like a call now to come back home. Like, what do you want? What do you need? How do you feel? And I had a friend ask me the other day, this was so powerful. She said, do you love yourself as fiercely as you love the girls?
Wow.
I don't know. Yeah, like it was a pause moment. And that's what I've been reflecting on over the last few weeks is like, okay, so I'll show you this. I have a picture of my 10-year-old self here.
Look at you. So cute.
But I have this image. So I see the image and then I see it in my mind when I close my eyes. It's like the love that I give my kids, the love that I give my girls, I focus on then staying in that energy and giving her love.
Yeah.
And like consciously doing that. It's like, shit, I don't know. Like, do we love ourselves as much as we love our kids? I mean, I would say the answer is no.
Off the bat, I'm going to say like, no. Like,
no.
I mean, as soon as you said that, my answer is like, no. But even though I do like love myself, but not that much.
Like I love myself, but like,
yeah.
But then do I give myself as much as I give them in terms of like time and devotion and love and energy and like hugs and peace and space?
Yeah.
Like, no, we're always doing for others. And so then what does that self-love look like? And it might be starting off with just like asking for an hour help on a Sunday or 2 hours so that you can just have time to self. One of the biggest things that I learned from a mentor early on is she would once a month, and she had 3 boys under the age of like 4 at one point or 5. And she once a month would go away by herself for at least a long weekend. And I thought to myself, and it was like her husband, 3 boys, and her. And it was just her self-care ritual because there was no way she could show up from a full cup if she didn't do that. And I love that. I just came back from a week-long mastermind retreat at the beginning of the month. And yeah, I came back full and overflowing. And therefore I could give from this balanced energy versus like running on empty. And then everyone getting the worst of us, including ourselves.
Yeah. Well, I guess I need to go away by myself. I'll go tell my husband, well, this is
the remedy.
Yeah. So to kind of go a little deeper for mindset and manifestation, we often hear that our beliefs really shape our reality, but what is the key to actually reframing our limiting beliefs in a way that sticks?
Isn't this the work? First is really like this. It's sticky because a lot of our subconscious beliefs that are running on autopilot behind the scenes, we just don't know what they are. And so if you're not immersed in this work on the daily and you're really getting to know yourself deeply, you won't know what those are. Like that program. And I'm like, why doesn't this come with the manual? Like I would love to ask ChatGPT what my subconscious programming is that no longer serves me, because I want to clear that shit. But we don't have that. And so it's through work. And so for me, what I uncovered early on, and it still tends to creep up, is I was raised Polish immigrant. We came to Canada when I was 6 years old. My lineage suffered and struggled for as long as I know. And that's engraved in my cells. And so I realized every time I would reach a certain level of financial success, there would either be sabotage or there would be this upper limit created that I then couldn't surpass. But more so than not, it would get there and then it would drop back down.
Right.
And that started showing up. Therefore, that was my first notice of like, okay, this is some deep rooted subconscious programming running behind the scenes and likely connected to self-worth. Like, why me? When like my entire lineage never experienced prosperity and wealth, then why me? And so with the why me, the unworthiness running in the background, even though I wasn't consciously thinking that, like I was speaking on stages and traveling the world, right? Like it didn't make sense consciously, but then I would start to self-sabotage again, unconsciously.
Mhm.
until I said, okay, this really needs to be worked on. And so one of the first programs that I did when I realized that is called You Were Born Rich by Bob Proctor. Now, when I first picked up that program, actually was before those situations happened, before reaching those first successes, I started diving into that just by fluke. Someone had offered me the program, and I had to pay $50 a month for an entire year because I couldn't afford to pay for that program at that time. And so I dove in, and Bob Proctor's phenomenal when it comes to subconscious reprogramming, especially when it comes to money and wealth. And a little by little, it's not so much the big thing that you do, but every single time it comes up, looking at it. So like 2018, my husband and I had a really hard year financially, probably one of our hardest ever. And it's when that happens, when the dark night of the soul happens, or whatever you want to call it, first of all, we created that reality. And so it's
Right.
taking that responsibility. It is our thoughts, it is our feelings and vibration, because our feelings create a vibration that created that situation that we were in. Now, did we create it because of past subconscious programming? Likely, because that's what's
Right.
happening, right? That's how we're operating on autopilot. And so that's when we began to rebuild, but every single time going deeper into what needs to be brought up to the surface and reprogrammed. So it's rewriting those stories. Okay, so when I look at money, actually, I'm doing this right now at the same time to move towards the next level. It's say, okay, give me a monthly income goal. Like, what's a desire of like a monthly income goal? Not yours, or just a number.
$20,000 a month, let's say.
$20,000 a month. So first of all, like when you say that amount, or, to the audience listening, like, how does that feel? Oftentimes when it's a bigger amount that our nervous system is not used to, it's like a jolt. It's like, whoa, like, but how, right? How? And then first question always is like, how am I even going to do this, right? Especially if you don't have a business, or right now you're not even close to that. So for me, I have a big number in mind right now, and it's really playing every single day with that number and associating a new feeling around it. So rather than it being fear or getting entangled in the how's this going to happen, because right now what you're doing is not even going to get you close to that, or you would have to work nonstop, because with big money comes big responsibility. So some subconscious programming may be like, well, then what is going to have to sacrifice? What am I going to have to sacrifice? What responsibilities am I going to have to take on? I had a client who's mega successful, but the story running behind the scenes for her was, the more wealth that I accumulate, the more people from my family come asking for help. And not that she didn't want to support them, but that responsibility to take care
was really stressful.
Yeah, to take care of everyone. And so few things here. So one is like expanding the capacity to hold more wealth, and doing that by, one is the physical. So breath work, again, meditation, like feeling good when we think of those numbers. And then for me, what I realized too is like that specific number. So say in this case, $20,000 a month, the number actually does absolutely nothing for me. It's then connecting it to the experiences, the impact, the adventures, the fun, like how I get to spoil the people that I love, that all of that brings. And when I think of those things, I'm able to generate an emotion. Once we generate emotion, that emotion is vibration and frequency. And therefore, that frequency is what's the manifestation piece of it. That's what's magnetic to the hows. Like things, you get inspiration, and you meet a new person, you get a new idea, like the hows start to unveil themselves. But at the same time, you might have a business that's thriving and you just want to double it. In that case, then you able to hold that next level of wealth? And what does it mean for you as the founder? Do you need to outsource more? Do you need to hire someone new for scale strategy? Do you need to bring on new team members? Do you need to let go of certain aspects of, things that are not productive in your business right now? So it's big work, and it's never ending work. So if I want to summarize everything, number one is allow things to come up. And if you're feeling like there's something, you're reaching a block, or that upper ceiling that they like to call it, like dive right into it. And sometimes it's just being still and being like, okay, like what do I need to see here? Like, what's going on here? and
Yeah.
you'll intuitively know. And then the reprogramming is really rewriting that story, creating new visualizations, creating a new affirmation around it. But until you get to the feeling of the new, that's the work. Because the goal is to arrive at the feeling, but sometimes the feeling is what takes the longest. Once you get the feeling, you get the vibration, and then it's like, it's done.
It's good.
It's good.
That's such great advice. And the other thing that I wanted to talk about with feelings, we kind of touched on it a little bit before, but as an entrepreneur, balancing masculine energy, strategy and action with feminine energy, with the intuition and creativity, that is really key. How can women really recognize when they're leaning too far into one and need to rebalance? How can you because as you were talking about, like, I realize, I do have a lot of creativity and intuition, but I really lean into my masculine energy a lot when it comes to my business and strategy.
Most women that I have met that are successful, that are going after their dreams, that have the accolades, that have the awards, that have the results, are in their masculine energy.
Mm-hmm.
And so actually, I just did this insane healing clearing. There's a lot of that going on in my area here in Mexico on Tuesday. And I actually texted him, it was a guy, after the session. And I said, who for you is an example of a very successful woman who's really embodied in her feminine energy? Because I actually don't know. He didn't know. He didn't have an answer for me. But like, I don't know. Like, who would be a role model? Like, let me know if you figure. I still haven't. He's like, well, why don't you become that? I'm like, great, I'm on it. I'm doing the work.
Yeah, because it's and when you look at successful women, it's because they're being more spoken and they're putting out this energy of like not like fragile, like a woman, kind of energy, like you're strong. And not that women aren't strong, but like that's just kind of
for sure. And that's what society has programmed us to do is like, if you want to be successful, then you have to act like they do, right? Because generally, traditionally, men have been the successful ones. And so we have been conditioned, programmed to act that way. And so for me, what that looks like, listen, I'm definitely more masculine energy, like I want to say, and again, this is where that programming comes in, because I no longer want to say that. I want to be that example of very successful woman who's very balanced in her energies. And so I'm going to let go of the labels, but like naturally I was raised to be more masculine. And so the work over the last 2 years has really been creating my own definition. And this is where, like, again, there's no rule book. It's figuring out like what feels good for you. So the way that I like to define it specifically in business is, you have your systems and structures, you have your automation set up, you have your, if you want a product-based business, your fulfillment center, and you have your team. Okay, that's your masculine structure. But you, as the founder, as the owner, as the CEO, how are you showing up? Are you very controlling? Are you always working to the point of burnout? Are you exhausted? Or are you allowing yourself to have white space in your calendar? Are you allowing yourself to let your team lead because you actually train them to do the thing that they're doing? Are you allowing to let yourself flow in and out of tasks? Do you take time off? Do you go on vacations? What do you enjoy doing? Like, do you have pleasure in your life? And so that's more of that feminine, like that creativity, that time to just be, to enjoy, to take off all the things that you don't enjoy doing and outsource that to others who are able to support. Right. So that's how like masculine and feminine in businesses. Right now, I love the white space. Like today was amazing. I got to do one mindset call this morning, and then I had hours before the kids were done school. Wow. And so rather than sitting down on the computer, I have a huge to-do list. Like I have email campaigns to program. I got reels to make, all these things. And I decided to do none of it and go to the ocean. So I went on a long bike ride. I got to the ocean. I meditated. I did my breath work. Then I biked back. Then I took the kids out for lunch because I knew that we're recording. And after you have another podcast recording. So I wanted my cup to be full in energetic alignment so that I could show up. Is this every day? No, but it's having that flow, that rhythm, that following your energy and doing what you desire to do in that moment.
I love that. All right. Well, you have just given us so much great information. I know I am ready to like go and do some breath work myself. I don't know if my kids running around upstairs will let me do it, but one last question. If your life story was turned into a book, what would you want the title to be?
Well, I do have on my vision board to be an author, to be on a book tour. So I've actually not thought of the title, but I do have something that came through right now, and it's called Rebalanced with Anna Lozano.
Love that. That is perfect. And that is a great way to end. We are all going to be rebalanced after this episode. So thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and your journey and all of this powerful knowledge on building a business in alignment and finding out who we truly are. I love how you break down the balance between intuition and action and how we can shift our energy to attract more success and fulfillment. So thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you for having me.
And for those who are listening, if you loved this episode, please hit follow right now so you never miss another episode. And do me a favor, take 30 seconds to leave a review on whichever platform you are listening on. You can follow me on Instagram at @therunningwinemom_. And Anna, where can the listeners find you?
Yes, _Anna Lozano, and my website's annalozano.com.
Perfect. And I will link all of that. So thank you for coming on today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Thanks so much for joining us today. Remember, you are strong, you are capable, and you are all amazing. Until next time, keep running, keep sipping, and keep embracing the joy of motherhood. Cheers. And I will be back next Tuesday.